Ladies and gentlemen, this take 10 is called How to Stuff Up Your Presentation Without Even Trying. Whoa! What it's about is that even if you've got a fantastic camera, fantastic microphone, great whiteboard, tremendous PowerPoints, all that stuff, you can still, without even realising, mess up your presentation to the point where you may well switch off your audience. So, what I want to do is I want to give some examples that I've seen and some I've done myself. The list is not exhaustive, it's not super long because I've only got 15 minutes or 10 to do it in, so I've had to cull. But I've got the big players in my book. I'm sure you know of other cases, so do I. The very first one is the indecisive start. I've just given you what I hope was a decisive start. I was off to the side of the board, I had the title on there, I told you just what the talk was going to be about, I was out there, bam, this is it. I'll now give you the indecisive start. It's always good to start these off the screen. Hi ladies and gentlemen. Oh, this must be the 5th of these things I've done. Yeah, it's about how to stuff up your presentation without even trying. Alright, enough of that. I can't do it any longer. It'll kill me. I'm being drippy. I'm being dreebly. I don't seem to be in charge of what I'm about to tell you. I don't inspire confidence. I don't even seem confident. I seem disorganised and tired. Well, that's true, of course. But it helps to really get in there with you. A PowerPoint introduction screen, the title of what you're going to say and talk about up there, say it and let people see it at the same time. It works really well. Almost as bad as the indecisive start, well I think is worse in a funny way, is the dreaded ums and ers. Many of us do it. I used to do it. I know I used to do it because I was nervous. Somebody is presenting. The next, the next example I'm going to give is about the use of ums and ers sprinkled throughout your speech in almost every sentence. I'll give you an example now. It can be incredibly distracting. I'm disruptive in meetings when we're being given a presentation by somebody who's doing this. And it's an unfortunate personal habit which you can get out of very easily. I often draw the attention of the people around me to the word by writing it on a piece of paper. I'm in the audience. Then I start a tally. Now, this is openly disruptive behaviour, of course, which I'm known for, but at the same time it causes the audience to bond like mad, and they certainly start paying attention to the speaker as they start tallying them as well. Not recommended. Just be aware if you do it, and I'll talk at the end of how to pick these things up. It's very, very easy. It can distract an audience like mad. Very similar to the ums and ers is the same first word. I had to ditch one of these video streams because I was using the same first word of and. I was using it to start sentences, heavens above, a terrible crime. And then we had oh dear. I used to have a bad tendency to use the word but instead, or now. It's amazing how these creep into your speech like viruses, and then they're everywhere. They just proliferate when you're talking and you don't even know you're doing it. I talked to a visitor to CQU a couple of years ago about this. They said to me, oh yes, I was presenting at an international conference. I gave an absolute cracker of a talk. I knew I did. Someone came up to me afterwards and said, I really enjoyed your talk. I could have enjoyed it a lot more, but you started almost every sentence with the word basically. And I said to them, oh dear, that would have been awful. You'd have felt awful. And they said, basically I did. Once you know you're doing it, it's easy to get rid of it, but if you're not careful, something else will creep in and replace it. Sighing and yawning. When you're teaching especially, or giving any presentation, for goodness sake, don't come in and say, oh, yeah, we're going to move on to acidosis. We're going to move on to acidosis now. Acidosis. That really doesn't give your audience the impression you're mad keen about this stuff and you're committed to what you are saying. But we do it, and many of us are tired when we teach, and therefore it's very hard not to do that. What about nasty personal habits? Gee. I have been reviewing video streams. I found a good one the other day. Well, a good example. The person was talking and they keep doing this. As they were talking, let's say I'm going to talk about nasty personal habits. They're talking away and quite frequently they just wipe their nose. I don't think their nose was dripping. They were just doing this as a nervous habit. Other people, when they're talking, they jingle their keys, which can, or click their pens, which can drive you totally nuts. Or they start clicking their big marker pens, or even just when they're talking, just sort of playing with their big marker pens. I've seen a lot of that. Again, I think it's a lot to do with nervousness, but it can distract your audience like mad. Now, while we're on pens, I use big nib pens. They are very, very effective indeed, especially when your video stream is going to turn up on someone's computer in low resolution on a small screen as well. If you really want to screw up your presentation, go for a thin pen, the thinnest possible pen you can. Well, that's not a bad thin pen. I bet it doesn't show up very well though when it finally goes out on YouTube. If you want to improve upon that in awfulness, make it really, really bad, get a dreebly colour like green and get a pen that squeaks. A dreebly colour, barely readable, and one that makes the most appalling row. I had squeaky pens for a while. One of my students laid into me on student feedback. They said, every time Steve goes near that whiteboard, I cringe. It's worse than the sound of fingers on a blackboard or glass scraping together. That is not good for your audience. You don't want to watch someone who's making these awful noises all the time. Oh dear, I just turned the page. Now, related to the pens, the distractive noises, I guess, is one that is comparatively recent at CQU. I think it's a fine example as well. It's the noisy mouse. I hope that's how you spell noisy. Now, I don't mean this sort of mouse, because you need ethics to work with those. It's the one you use, of course, in your hand. I'll give you an example of the noisy mouse. It's something which has only rolled out recently. A lot of us now are giving video streams in our rooms, whispering away to our computers with little cameras sitting on top and the mouse in front, and we're often using PowerPoint. I will go to the document camera as an example. That's a human hand. That really is a human hand, and I'm going to indicate where it is with the mouse. There is the thumb, that is the first finger, the second finger, the third and the fourth. Now, here is the body of the hand. That is one entire finger. You can see there's even a grossly enlarged fingernail as well. This person has elephantiasis, which has affected their hand. Now, okay, I've got the mouse in front of the microphone. That's the very best place to put it, because if you're using the mouse to move the cursor, it's going to make quite a row on the desk, on the table. Oh dear, I just did the bad habit of the nose. Actually, it's itchy. And that can be incredibly distracting. I watched one recently. The person's talking there with a complicated diagram, and they're going all the time. Scritch, 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 scritch. It drove me crazy. Right, the noisy mouse. Almost there. Got my own time. Now, another useful technique to really engage your audience, because I guess what a lot of my take fives have been about presentation, is look at the camera. If you're standing reading your stuff, I'll stand and read my stuff. I'm just going to read this out. And no, I'm not going to look at the camera and go, oh yeah. Well, another important thing is to look at the camera, because if you do, you're much more engaging than if you sort of look down and seem rather engrossed in what you're actually reading. Look at the camera. And people have said to me, it's damn difficult to look at the camera when the camera is just this little thing about the size of a 35mm film can, oh dear, showing my age there, parked on top of my computer. Well, I had that problem too. I'm going to show you my video setup. Well, hey. And this will take a little moment. I'm just going to do a tilt, I think. No, I'm completely lying here. Okay, I'm doing a tilt and another tilt. I'm now showing you the front of my monitor. Okay, and I have not done this at all well, so I'm just... Sorry, the old boy's wasting time. Here we go, I've got to wedge it. If this falls down, it's all my fault. Okay, this is a device I used to record on. I had a document camera trained on it. There's the camera sitting up top. Okay, sorry, this is the camera sitting up top. Little device sitting here. And to make sure I look at the camera, I have put a pair of eyes below the camera at about what I think is the right height. Now these are eyes that haven't disturbed this bit of CQ equipment because they are eyes on adhesive tape. They are replaceable eyes. You can either flip them back or flip them forward. If you feel you need the eyes on a particular day, you can flop them forward. So I end up giving my lectures looking, just as I am now, looking the eyes straight in the eye. I've got this thing staring at me all the time. It's very reassuring. I know there's someone out there. Therefore, it gives you the little clue as to where to look, because it's quite hard to look at that camera. It just sits there, one single eye. That's not good. You need human eyes staring at you. Enough of that. All right, time is flying, so therefore I have to cull the rest of my examples. That's fine. My wrap-up word is, well, 2, 3, don't try for perfection. Because you'll probably never get there. If you get really obsessive about this and keep re-recording your video streams, then it's not going to be good for you. I had to redo some of the take 5s I've done for this series because I wasn't happy with them. And one of them I swore rather badly when something went wrong. Not good. But if small things go wrong, what the hell, leave them in. The audience realises you're human. For example, once one of my whiteboard markers vomited all over the board because I'd overfilled it. I fill these up with ink. I don't buy new ones all the time, I just top them up. And I'd overfilled it and I went to write on the board and it chucked its guts all over the board, this great red spreading mass that went pouring down the board and got all on the wall and everything. It's all right, I cleaned it up, I promise. Facilities management are watching, it's okay, wouldn't even know. And without thinking, I was well into the lecture, it was going really well, and I simply said a few words, woohoo, I won't repeat those, and then I got the pen, showed it to the class, and I said, to the camera that is, there wasn't anyone in the room, and I said, this is the little bastard who did it. And I realised, what have I just said? You know, the pen is, it's not responsible in the pen. Oh no, I'll squeak next time. Be so unhappy. It was my fault, but I just left it in, and I thought, what the hell? And a couple of students contacted me and said, gee, that was funny. How did you go with the wall? You will have thought of many other examples as well, but how the hell do you eliminate them or reduce them? Well, the first thing is ask a colleague. A trusted colleague whom will give you fair feedback and won't be too awful about it, but at the same time won't spare your feelings. Find someone you trust, say, please come along to my lecture, or come along at my rehearsal of my presentation, or watch my video stream, and just tell me how it's all going. One of my colleagues said to me, would I look at one of their video streams? And I said, yes, I would, and they'd recorded it very close. And they were sitting looking up at the camera like this and explaining things. Now, that's really not a good look. So they said to me, what do you think? And I said, look, I said, it looks like they dropped a spy cam down the wombat burrow, and the wombat's sort of going, I wonder what that is. Well, they said, all right, okay, fine, I'll stand back, I'll be smaller, that's okay. The other thing is, review your own video streams. It's cringe-making, I know. Review yourself. Sounds like motivational stuff. Have a look at your video stream, fast forward it if you can, and see if you've got any really spooky personal habits that on fast forwarding really show up. They often do. Look for repetition, look for things you're doing that might, to you, in your mind, say, I'm going to put the audience off if I keep doing this stuff. And that really is the key. I frequently review my video streams. Sometimes I do re-record them. But that's only because I really want the best for my students, of course, and the best for my audience. But a bit of self-review never goes amiss. It's amazing what you'll pick up. Some people said to me, I can't bear the sound of my own voice. I can't believe I sound like that. I finally got used to that, and I'm ancient. But do it. Don't just roll it out and say, hey, let's go on. I've recorded it. Hit it onto Moodle. One person did that not all that long ago, and it seemed they'd recorded their entire session with the lights out. They didn't even notice. That's not good. Have a look, a quick look at least, before you let them out. And that's me done. Hopefully that'll help sort of make the video streams, your presentations, whatever, even better for your audience. Thank you.